Yes, and we are in. Yeah, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another series of our virtual roadshows by SRC and Commodity TV. And it's a real honor and pleasure for us today that we have Maple Gold Mines with us. And Matthew Hornor, the CEO, is already here in Vancouver live for us. Matthew, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning, good evening to you and everybody else.
Thank you very much for taking the time to give us a presentation on your company. And just before we get started, we let people turn in. 36 are already live. We have 81 registered investors here. This is a fantastic sign also for the company, maybe a lot of shareholders in also. And yeah, let me tell you upfront, please, we are fully complying to European and Swiss data security laws. So nobody can see each other, nor any email addresses or any names. We want to do, of course, a lively Q&A after Matthew's presentation, which will last approximately 25 minutes, and then we are open for questions. And please use for the Q&A the chat function. And the chat function you find, it's the third item from the top in the vertical gray bar. It's called chat. So please use that and for any questions you might have, and I'm pretty sure you have a lot of questions. Yeah, Maple Gold is a company we are following long time, honestly, and I've been together with Matthew Hornor. I think it's approximately a good three and a half years together on Roadshow, and we have roadshow the company and introduced the company to investors. It took quite a while until the company started to deliver. I mean, they started already to deliver when they rocked their resource to approximately 2.8 million ounces gold already. But the real highlight was last week, the agreement with Agnico Eagle Mines, one of the best gold mining companies in the world. And as you know, I have interviewed Sean Boyd a lot of times and also moderated a lot of times with him together in Zurich in the Dolder Grand Hotel. And it is amazing if when such a mining legend and such an outstanding company comes to a still small junior, of course, to make an agreement and to say, hey guys, we want to work really together here and we invest a lot of money. So that's really favorable for the company. That's a big sign of trust. And of course, a great amount of money is coming into the company so they can now go full throttle and really rock that thing. And I would suggest that we get started now. Matthew, I will upload the presentation here, and I would say the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Johan, and thank you everyone for tuning in. What we will go through today is an overview of the company, where it is today, and what we have in store for us going forward. Really, we're going to focus on the transformational transaction that just took place and the endorsement that we received from, as Johan points out, Agnico Eagle. So there's a picture of the project site. So today we'll be talking about four main themes that really encapsulate our company and what the reason is for anyone to be interested in what we're doing and what we're all about. The first is we're a premier Quebec Abitibi late-stage gold exploration company. We'll talk about that a little bit. We've now established an incredible partnership with Agnico Eagle, which is one of the top producers in Quebec and Canada and actually the world. We have already an established incredible resource, which is the third largest in Quebec, undeveloped. In addition to that, we have an incredible number of targets that are now in the shadow of giants, and we'll talk a little bit about the exploration plan this fall and next year with Agnico. And then the fourth theme and the fourth point is we have the balance sheet now to execute across the boards on all of our strategic initiatives. So let's just dive in and go through some of these. So here's some of the highlights of the company and the project to describe the late-stage exploration company that we are, pre-development late-stage exploration. We are in Quebec, which is, I think, one of the best places to operate anywhere on the planet. As I like to say, if you're coming down for the first time visiting planet Earth and you're looking for, as a Martian coming from someplace else, and you needed gold, where would you look? Well, Quebec would be one of your top priorities given its prolific nature. In fact, given how many ounces of gold it's actually produced over time. So an incredible location, location. It's very key. We're also located within Quebec in a place called the Abitibi Greenstone Belt, which has been responsible for about $10 billion in M&A activity over the last 7 years. And we have the infrastructure all around us and skilled labor, rail, airports, all the rest. So we have the location, and all that brings sorted out, and we couldn't be happier with all of our surrounding partners in Quebec. We already have an established gold resource. It's just under 3 million ounces. It's in the M&I and inferred categories. M&I is over a gram and a half, and the inferred is just over a gram. Very similar to, as we'll show in a second, some of the other biggest gold producing mines in Canada. I'll talk about that shortly. We're virtually royalty free, and we're adjacent to past producing high grade mines. We'll talk about in a second. The management team hails from other very large mining companies, so a long track record of managing, operating large projects. So I like to say that we come at this from the perspective of a large mining company. It's a bit humbling to be a very, very low priced penny stock, but we never thought of ourselves ultimately that way. We always thought of ourselves as a multi-dollar stock, in that we always came from companies of that size, and we fully expect to build Maple Gold into a very large, relevant gold company in Canada. The directors and management, and also institutional shareholders now that we can boast, include Agnico, along with our favorite and fantastic shareholders in Quebec, the Caisse de Depot and all of their friends. The upside potential, we think, is massive in that we have this Agnico Eagle joint venture partnership, which brings in also the past producing project of Joutel that Agnico is contributing to our joint venture, which is quite significant, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So our land package now is over 400 kilometers, which with these two projects combined. So a little bit more about Quebec and why we're interested there. It's the second largest Canadian gold producing province, 35% of the total production in 2019, 1.5 million ounces produced over 9 mines. It's a great, it's always ranked at the very top globally, very low cost exploration, relatively speaking. 200 million ounces produced in the Greenstone Belt alone. There are government support initiatives in place, and the tax incentives for exploration are incredible. We have 37 cents back for every dollar we spend on exploration. That's unique anywhere in the world. The Abitibi Greenstone Belt, I spoke about the two other largest mines around us that are very similar to what we're hopefully going to become. Detour Lake is a 15 million ounce project, just under a gram. It's the largest Canadian gold mine in the first quarter of this year. And last year they produced 600,000 ounces. Canadian Malartic, of course, is a joint venture between Agnico Eagle and Yamana. 12 million ounces there, just under a gram. It's the second largest Canadian gold mine in Q1. They produced 669,000 ounces last year. So the number one and number two that are very similar in geology and grade, kind of a lower tonnage, relatively lower grade production, but is wildly profitable for both those companies. And of course, Casa Berardi, owned by Hecla Mining. This point down here talks about the M&A hotspot, some of the transactions that have happened since 2013. You can review the tape. Osisko, Probe, Lakeshore, Detour, Integra, Horizon, and of course the big one, Osisko, where Agnico and Yamana bought out the Canadian Malartic mine for $3.9 billion. And it bears mentioning that project started many years ago at a $14 million market cap company, where people thought that it wasn't going to work because you had to move a town and you had to do all these other things and spend $1 billion just to get off the ground. And it turned from a 14 million market cap company to take over at 3.9 billion. We're located right here's our map of where we're located. Highly accessible, prospective geological setting. We talk about we're very close to a commercial airport. You can drive up to the project site in a Volkswagen Bug. You don't need a tractor or a helicopter to get there. It's accessible by anyone. You can see the highways there, and you can see all the other operating mines and previously operating mines around us. You can see of our entire package, only 4% of our land package is where our current resource exists, which is another reason why we're so excited to be going after it with Agnico Eagle. A touch on the history, and this is something you can look at from looking at our website, and encourage you all to visit our website and get information there. But the project started in 1976, actually, and it's well understood in the mining industry that the ownership of a mine or mine project rarely starts as a discovery and then turns into a mine. It usually goes through a number of different hands before it gets to its final jumping off point, if you will. And our case is no different. The first discovery hole was 1976 and went through a couple of hands before it finally came into the structure, which is now known as Maple Gold Mines. In 2010, I took over the reins in 2017. As Johan pointed out, it's been about 3.5 years since he and I have been working together, telling the story. And there have been some tough years, to be obviously to be straightforward, but we grounded out and we continued to stick to building value at the project. And that's the only thing, and I've said this before, the only thing we could actually control is what we did to actually build the value at the project. We could never control exactly when or how a strategic partner came in, but one thing we could control: do the best work at the project with the guidance of Dr. Fred Speidel, who's an incredible exploration geologist. He runs this project, as I like to say, like a Swiss watch. The numbers, he always comes in under budget, on time. He has an incredible team, and we have an incredible data set of this historic drill core at site, as you can see from the lower right-hand figure. So what we did from the beginning, from when I got involved, is to really transform the systems within Maple Gold Mines to make it behave like a mid or large tier company, because that's just the way we do things, what we're used to. In addition to that, we relogged all the historical core. We updated 3D geologic model. We established a large camp, so all that infrastructure spend has already been paid for. And we delivered a more conservative resource estimate from RPA because we wanted other mining companies that were looking at us as a possible strategic initiative to give accurate value to our ounces. I like to say that we're the anti-promoter. We like just to create the value of the project, and everything else will take care of itself. And I think we're seeing that bear fruit here. We've brought the value of the project, and everything else is taking care of itself. So a few words on the team. My name is Matthew Hornor. I was working at the Ivanhoe Mines world for many years, over 10 years. My mandate there was to structure partnerships, strategic partnerships, and raise capital for the Ivanhoe Mines projects, which I did, and helped bring some of those projects along. Greg Orrs comes from as an audit partner, formerly audit partner with Deloitte. Fred Speidel spoke about. I can't say enough about how great he is. He was 30 years in exploration with Inmet, First Quantum, Antofagasta. He speaks German, French, English, and Spanish, so he could have this webinar in German or French, depending on what your audience wanted to hear. And he's just excellent. Jonas Lang was a key member in bringing this joint venture to the fore. Really great at corporate development, and has a lot of experience in this space. And we have Shirley Anthony, who came on as Director of Communications. Our board includes Maurice Tagami, who's Vice President for Mining Operations at Wheaton Precious Metals. Gerald Riverain is a former geologist that worked with Fred. Sean Charland is a Capital Markets Director who came up with the idea, found this project, and brought it back to life many years ago, and found me and brought me in. David Broughton is responsible. If you want to spend a few minutes looking at David Broughton, I encourage you to do that. He is responsible for most of the ounces that are in the Ivanhoe Mines company, and he and I worked closely together at the Platreef project, where he was at the ground reviving and bringing that project forward, and I was helping him to supply him with capital from a strategic investor in Itochu. So much like the partnership that I have with Fred Speidel, David and I work to bring that project forward by bringing in a strategic partner. So we're doing it all over again. Now I'm doing it with Fred Speidel, but also with David Broughton's blessing and his help as the technical advisor for the project. Three of the recent additions as strategic advisors include Egizio Bianchini, Timo Dristo, and Matthew Lexier. Egizio was executive vice chairman of Ivanhoe Mines. He was almost 30 years at BMO as the head of their mining division, one of the most famous mining bankers anywhere on the planet, I believe. Timo, an incredible human being, also what came with Goldcorp and Placer Dome, 35 years in the space, in the gold space specifically. Matthew Lexier is key on capital markets. He's done 80 or more public and private offerings and is very well versed in dealing with all the bankers and helping us on that side. So we have now an incredible team to bring this forward now that we have this partnership in place. So let's talk about the partnership for a second. This is, of course, with Agnico Eagle. And here's some of the highlights that I'd like to go into. Now, what we've thought about in putting this partnership together was it has to be fair for both parties. Although it's a David and Goliath situation, it has to still be fair for both parties. Okay, so and we structured it in that way. It starts with the strategic investment that Agnico made into our company, which was at a near 40 or 50% premium to what we were trading at the day we announced. That's a $6.2 million strategic investment, but it was on top of a $2 million investment they made in August at 17 cents. We kept the secret that they invested in August because that would have caused the share price to run if everyone knew that they had invested back then. But their total investment in us right now is $8.2 million. So that was important. That gives us the confidence that they have in us as a team. In addition to the 24-cent unit price, they're allowed to get to 19.9% at 34 cents, which shows that they believe that we're valued at much, much higher than that. That's our perspective. So that gets them to 19.9. There's a standstill, so they can't go over that unless we let them for a number of years, which keeps them in check and keeps us working together closely. They, of course, contribute the Joutel project. This hosted a past-producing Telbel mine, and that mine produced 1.15 million ounces at 6.5 grams. That mine was shut down when gold was at $360 per ounce. So we believe there's still considerable upside at that project. And now we're digitizing all the information from the Joutel project, and we'll be bringing that to the market and letting everyone know why we're so excited about this, that as soon as that information is digitized, and we'll be doing another one of these webinars and virtual roadshows with Johan and others when that's available. So watch this space for that. I think that's going to be a wonderful and exciting time for us all. They also, Agnico, are solely funding $18 million in exploration work over 4-year terms. That's the minimum that can be spent. We can agree together to spend more. If we're successful, as we hope to be, in our exploration activities that are happening now at site, actually, and I'll talk about that briefly later, we can speed up all of this and spend the $18 million over a shorter period of time if the projects and the targets warrant. But it's nice to know that you have, over a 4-year period of time, enough capital to plan properly with your project and how to take it forward. So Fred doesn't have to worry about going back to the market, wondering what his next budget's going to look like, how to do things. And it's very, very important for continuity and really building a massive project here, which is what we hope to build. We're going to be funding some VMS targeting to the western side. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but that's just because we had another party interested in doing large financing with us, and we wanted to stick with just Agnico as our partner. There's a 2% NSR that's granted back to each company, both us and Agnico, for contributing these projects, with a $40 million buyout, which was essentially our market cap when we announced the deal. So I like to have that sweetener in there for all the Maple Gold shareholders, if you will. And we're getting them to contribute their technical expertise to the joint venture, which is something we were really looking for. Fred Speidel is the general manager of the joint venture. He's our guy, but we get to have their incredible brain trust and engineers contributing to the joint venture, which is, I don't know how you put a dollar value on that, is an incredible contribution by them. It's not just their project, it's really their team also we get. Keep in mind, for the audience, Agnico Eagle, the Eagle part of this is the Eagle Tellbell mine, which they're contributing. So they really care about this as their namesake project that they're contributing to this joint venture. It really means something to them. This is something that I spoke about with Sean Boyd last week. So we're doing this properly. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is that they're supporting us in third-party project financing down the road. So when we get to the point where we want to build the actual project, they're going to stand with us and help us get there, standing shoulder to shoulder, if you will, when we speak to the big banks to bring the project financing forward. So I like the fact that it is a fair deal. It's very supportive of us as a partner. And also, down the road, you could imagine that Agnico may want to just consolidate the whole thing and make it maybe part of their own, but I'll leave that down to discussions in the future. But it also is a nice opportunity for somebody else if they see this as a joint venture they'd like to step into, where they see that the terms are very fair going both ways. And that's what, that's something to keep in mind. We base this on the Canadian Malarctic joint venture that they have with Humana. The whole structure is based on that format. So it's done in an equitable fashion. Here's a picture of the project. You see the lighter colored yellow at the bottom is the Joutel project area, and ours is the larger area on the top. The VMS targets are to the left. The red denotes the areas where there's favorable geologic structures and where you can see their Joutel deformation zone geology moving on to our project area. So incredible geologic synergies. That's something to keep in mind. Incredible geologic synergies. Just a few words on the history, and this is something you can look at again by going to our website and pulling up this project. You can look at this slide. This project was average. The average grade was 6.5 grams. They produced it for just about 10 years, and they left $360 per ounce back then. So it is something that's been around. Here's the infrastructure that was there before, and again, I invite you to look at this, and we'll be talking a lot more about this in the near future. So here's a little bit about the joint venture funding and how it's broken out. It's 4 million, 4 million, 5 million, 5 million over 4 years. We get, of course, their technical expertise, and Fred Speidel is the general manager of the project. So we get to get their support. They love our ideas. The vision that's shared by both companies is quite significant. This is something that I insisted had to be there for us to even sign this deal. You may think I'm being too conservative, but I knew that both projects really had to get along well and be able to speak each other's geologic language. And Fred, in fact, speaks French with them when they're in the technical meetings. But it has to be shared, because if you're going into a joint venture with another party, you have to get along well and have to have the same vision for what the projects can become, and it is definitely there. So this is maybe one of the most important slides of today's talk. What is the impact for us? Why, as a Maple Gold shareholder, should you continue to be one? And if you're not one, why should I think you get involved and come along for this fun journey going forward? This is the slide. So the validation of the Douay Gold Project and the endorsement from them, given that they know more about gold production, gold discovery, gold exploration than anybody in the world. They know more than anybody for our region in Quebec. That endorsement is incredibly important for us. And we're seeing now in the market cap and share price how the audience is viewing that endorsement. So that is incredibly important for us. The asset diversification, now that we have another project that was a past producer, we have optionality on 2 different projects. And it is always best to find a new mine in the shadow of a head frame, meaning it's always best to build a mine next to where one was. And so because we have that jewelry box, if you will, at Joutel that we pulled out from the attic, it's like we went up to the attic one day and we found a jewelry box that people had looked at for a while. They said, hold on a second, what do they leave behind? And so we're about to open up the jewelry box and see what treasures may sit inside there. But I like always to find mines near old ones. And although we're regionally close to other mines with Douay, with Joutel as a past producing gold mine, we have incredible optionality for us with this asset diversification. Enhanced exploration expertise. We have both teams coming together now. feeding in the brain trust we have. The brain trust we have with our team and their team is quite significant, and it's something that you're not going to hear a lot about. But in the background, what we're doing every day, working at these both projects, is what's driving the value. And these are things that no investors ever see, but what we've been paying attention to since I began. The investment from them is, of course, important. We talked about that before, the premium, and that says that Agnico believes in the team, not just the project. So it was important to have both of these as components for this deal. And now we're, with this capital in our treasury, we have now 13 million, just under $12.5 million in our treasury at the corporate level. So we don't need to raise money anymore. And also we have $18 million committed into the project. So we're at 30 million plus total. When before we did the deal, we had 6.5 million. So it is transformational in every possible way, from project endorsement to capital in the treasury, to capital in the project, to technical team, to everything you can think of. It's transformational, this deal. So I'm going to speak a few minutes about the targets, what we're doing now. I won't go into too much detail. I'm not sure how much time we have, Johan, left for this before we get to Q&A. But
you are already over it, but I give it another 5 to 10 minutes.
I'm sorry. So we talked about the resource. I'm not going to spend time there. What we're doing, this is what we did earlier this season. The point to take away here is that we hit 11 out of 14 holes at higher than average grade. This is very important. Fred is very, very good. That's the point of this slide. And you can look at all this stuff on our website. Here's where we're going to be going to expand the resource. This gives you a sense of what that's going to look like. Here's the regional discoveries that we're expecting to be made that Fred's going to do. And the Northeast IB target, this is what we're going after right now. So this is something to pay attention to. Here's why that matters. There's a historical hole that went down to 153, but this proved that the rock type is the same as the rock type at a project nearby a few clicks to the east called Veza, and that produced 600,000 ounces at 6 grams. The rock type is the same. The geophysics down here, the guts they never got into, and this is why I'm jumping up and down about this target that we're going after right now. The drill rigs have already gone to site, and we're getting after. I think we're starting to drill in a matter of days. So I'm wildly excited about this project, and there are others like this that we'll be talking about in the not too distant future. There's a 3,000 meter program planned right now, which I talked about, and next year will be 10,000 meters with a net resource estimate planned for the second half of next year. Here's the red are what we're going after this fall. The blue, basically, generally speaking, what we'll be doing next year with Agnico. Give you a sense of what the drill programs look like. You can see why it is that we're so excited and why it is that I think Agnico is excited as well. And lastly, the last theme is that we're fully funded now to execute on all of our projects. I spoke about the $30 million we have in actual and committed capital. This gives you the share structure and shows you who our strategic institutional partners are. So the 4 themes again, we have incredible partnership now established. We have a resource, existing resource, and the ability to grow with new discoveries. We have a balance sheet now to support everything we want to do. And at that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Super, Matthew, thank you very much for this great presentation. And yeah, it looks like that you guys really made it now, and things are really moving. So let me first look at this here. Maybe I want to start just with the last slide you had with the shareholders, because that's also a question here. We saw shareholders like Caisse de Dépôt. Yeah. We saw a lot of institutions. Can you tell us a little bit more about, let's say, the percentages? Because it's not quite normal that such a large pension fund like Caisse de Dépôt invests in a small exploration company. I know they are shareholder in Osisko also, which makes really sense. But how did that come that you have such great institutions already, I would say, on board?
Well, they became investors after I came in and brought the team of people that were, I would say, brought a different type of management style to the company. And they came in 2.5 years ago, very patient. And they were a part of the Canadian Malartic Osisko project back in time. and they helped fund that project all the way up until it was finally taken out by Agnico and Yamana. So they are Quebec-based. I like to call them the Quebec mafia of funds that all move together to support projects in their backyards, but they don't support them all. They support the ones they think have the ability to move forward in a big way. So that we have a relationship with them. They've been to site. I brought them to site. They looked at the drill core. They understand the project well. We've had a number of conversations with them. And so they participated in every financing. They participated in this last one. They participated in one before. I expect that they will participate in every single one in the future that we have to do when we get to actually building something big.
Fantastic. What is management share in the company? Can you remind us?
It's around 5%.
Okay, super. Yeah, then let's get started with some questions of our investors here. Are or will be there any clauses added to the tradable warrants, like acceleration clauses?
I don't think there are any, but yesterday I learned that somebody actually exercised their warrants, and they wrote us a check and they sent it in to buy the shares, because now the warrants are in the money. They're at 41 cents. So if you have those warrants, you can exercise them and buy shares in Maple Gold and lock in your ownership of the company.
Absolutely.
But we're reviewing all options. I mean, if we can find the ability to accelerate those, we will. But at the moment, because we don't need the capital, we're agnostic as to which way that goes.
Can you talk about the potential for an expanded ore body at depths similar to this area in Quebec?
Yeah, I can say only so much. I can say what RPA has said, and we've put out publicly. Beyond that, I will get in trouble if I say anything else before we have made it public. But RPA said that they think that below our existing resource, there's the potential for between 500,000 and another 1.5 million ounces. This is what they've said, and we've included in our resource estimate, which you can also look at in your own time.
Fantastic.
So, Agnico doesn't get involved in projects unless they think there's a potential of over 5 million ounces.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah, exactly. So that means when do we see the next resource update?
Likely be the second half of next year. And keep in mind that resource estimate update will include the meters we drilled this year, earlier this in the spring or the winter time, from January till March, when COVID was happening. We still drilled because we needed to drive the value and have news for the summertime when I thought things would turn around. We also have the 3,000 ounces we're going to be doing this fall.
Meters.
In addition to that, we'll have the 10,000 ounces. 10,000 meters. I'm sorry. So we'll have 17,000 meters of additional drilling that'll go into that update, and we've already found additional ounces, we believe, outside the pit frames, the pit walls, the conceptual pit designs.
If we put the Agnico deal a little bit more in a, let's say, longer term perspective and in a larger picture, what would be the intention of Agnico aside of combining Douay and Joutel together longer term? Is the let's call it the idea of Agnico to establish another super mine or a super pit like Canadian Malartic, but now they do it by themselves and not to pay upfront 3.9 billion?
Yeah, it's hard for me to put words in their mouth. I leave the audience to think.
No, let's speculate a bit.
I think that they let's put it this way. Let's go at it from a different direction. I think they would feel really like they missed out on something if Barrick and Maple Gold built the second Canadian Malartic at Douay.
Okay.
The best, they're the ones that know this geology. The geology of Maple Gold's Douay project is almost identical to the Canadian Malartic in age of the rock, the type of tonnage, the grades, everything else. I think that it's fair to say that Agnico wouldn't want to have somebody else in their backyard build Malartic 2.0.
Yeah, fully understood.
Okay?
I see it exactly the same way. I will ask Jean Boyd the next time when I interview him.
Please do.
So there is another investor from Bavaria. What are the most important company catalysts for the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh, that's the one. We have, as I mentioned earlier, and I could spend an hour talking to you about how excited we are on the geology and the exploration plan. The catalyst that I see going forward are the results from this drilling that we're doing right now at these amazing targets that could be game changers for the company. Those are the first catalyst. The second was when we announced the final definitive deal with Agnico, which is within the next 80 days. That's happening. It'll be around Christmas time. And then we get into the exploration with Agnico starting in January for the winter program. That's important. And then the results from that, and then the resource estimate update later on in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super.
So, I forgot probably one of the bigger ones is the digitization of Jutel and talking about that project. So we expect to do a joint roadshow with Agnico Eagle. I think the next talk show we'll have with you is with Sean Boyd and myself, or one of his generals, talking with you together on something like this to talk about Jutel and Douay and all the upside with both those projects at this exciting joint venture.
I would love to do so, to be honest. That would be great fun. The question also, maybe we can add that because Fred Speidel I know also well, and he's a Schwabe like me. He's also coming close by to Stuttgart, so no wonder that he is a good geologist. And Dr. David Broughton, I think we did an interview together like 2 years ago at PDAC. That was also outstanding. If I put those two top geologists together, they still are, let's say, in the lead and are fully supported by Agnico, or is Agnico saying, hey guys, you are fantastic, but we send also like 2-3 geologists, and then let's go together into the project and let's rock it?
I think the question is they're in the lead and Agnico help supports us?
Yeah. Are you still fully in the lead and Agnico supports you only, or is it like a combined effort now?
It's a combined effort, but I guess, and Fred Speidel with David Broughton's support is the general manager of the joint venture.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so
super.
He's the director general of everything. So there's a committee that'll be formed with both companies where we share ideas and we get after it. But it's really, really, I cannot emphasize how amazing the people at Agnico are. Everybody from the commercial guys to the geologists, really, really, they have one of the best reputations in the market that I knew before I got into the negotiations with them. And it is borne out in all the discussions. They've been completely upfront, very honest, very forthright, very pragmatic. And they're just, I cannot compliment them enough. They're really, really fantastic human beings.
Fantastic.
The culture there is incredible.
Then there's a question from an investor from London. Does Agnico own the cores and the logs from the prior owner of the Jutel mine?
They have everything, yeah. There's small pieces here and there, but generally they have all the data and everything. It's all there.
Okay. Question from an investor in Frankfurt. He's missing Eric Sprott as an investor. Love that.
I wish I could say more there, but I'm too nice.
Yeah. Great, super.
Johan, who would you rather have as an investor, Agnico or Eric?
I mean, I like Eric a lot, and he's a great guy, that's for sure. Absolutely nothing wrong. He has invested in a lot of our companies. But of course, Agnico, with that background you said, I love it. There's no doubt about it.
Nothing against him at all. He's a great guy.
Yeah, there is a question from a shareholder from St. Gallen. Have there been other potential joint venture partners next to Agnico?
Next to Agnico, along with in the course of these discussions. Oh yes, we had other offers over the summertime from other parties that we turned down, and in the past, now I can say that there was a very large Japanese organization in 2018 that wanted to do a joint venture with us. The terms were very, very large. The marquee top line just around $200 million, but for us at that time it was really, and it would have given us recognition and an endorsement, all these other things. But I was too stubborn. I wanted to make sure that I worked really hard for our shareholders. I mean, I wake up every morning thinking about how I can add value for our shareholders. This is what I think about every single day of the week. And that would have been a very easy deal to do. I speak Japanese. I worked and lived and was educated in Japan. I brought Japanese money to the Robert Friedland Ivanhoe world. That was something that was there for us to do at the very beginning. But at the time, with the market doing what it was doing, it wasn't right. And even though it might have been better for me personally, I couldn't do it because it wouldn't have been the best thing for all the shareholders and the company moving forward. So I'm glad we waited. And to answer the question, yes, there have been other parties, but we are stubborn. We want to make sure that the deal is the best one for everybody who owns shares in Maple Gold. And now, and it will be the same now, the discipline we have now and the strategy we bring to these things is the same. The discipline around not giving warrants on investments when we do capital raises. The only warrants we've ever given are to Agnico Eagle to get them to 19.9%. That's an exception. It's a strategic partnership. If you look at all the other financings, except for the one that when I first got involved, which wasn't, I didn't design that financing. Every single one, even with the case depot, none of them have any warrants associated with those offerings. And that's on purpose, because I think overall that hurts issuers, it hurts companies, and hurts shareholders, because the second the 4 months and 1 day hold period is up, people pull out their shares and hold on to the warrants. And that's just rational behavior for an investor. And I don't blame people for doing that, but it hurts us. It hurts you because you're fighting all that wave of stock coming in the market. I just don't think it helps. So we, across the boards, we bring discipline to this company, from the corporate finance to the project level to everything. We have a very clear path and a very clear vision to how to grow this thing into an absolute monster. And that's what our plan is. We're not stopping with this joint venture with Agnico. We have ideas on other ways to build this gold platform to make it a truly magnificent Canadian gold company. That is the point. It's named Maple Gold for a reason. And so watch the space, and coming soon to a theater near you will be much more interesting news.
Yeah, fantastic. We have several shareholders here, also from St. Gallen, from Spain, from Frankfurt, who really think that Agnico will take over the company. For them, it's like a done deal. But the question would be, of course, from my side also: have you spoken to the other large shareholders? How likely would it be if Agnico moves to 19.9%? I mean, then it's a small step to make a takeover bid, to say, if we look at your if your amount of shares, you have approximately 370 million shares out, and so at, let's say, $1.50, we talk about a good $500 million market cap. Yeah, if you move that thing to 5 million ounces plus, and if we see on both projects together the potential which you just have described, and I'm pretty sure that within the next 2 years this will be very clear and evident that this will happen, that you show the potential. What do you think? And the stock might be at, let's say, really at $1, and they make a bid for 150, 160. Would they sell? Have you spoken to them to say, hey guys, we see it more to 2, maybe 250?
Listen, my sights are much higher than that. Okay, I don't know what the shareholders would do. I don't think people would be upset with me for delivering $2 a share, $1.50 a share. But I want to grow a multi-billion-dollar gold company, and hopefully I'm allowed to do that. And I'm not excused of this job. And I'm told I need to own shares in another company. This is the point. We're trying to build something huge. I was a part of a multi-billion-dollar mining company before. That's what I'm used to. This is what we're all used to. This is where we want to build this company into. So. Well, whether Agnico or shareholders would take a bid for $1.50, $2 per share, maybe. I don't know. But my job now is to build value so fast. I'm in a race with Agnico in a way, or other companies. Doesn't have to be Agnico. It could be another company that wants to be in a joint venture with Agnico. On Canadian Malarctic 2.0, for example. They could still come in. So there's the takeout premium hasn't been lost. I think it's only been enhanced. It hasn't been lost with Agnico. It hasn't been lost with anybody else either, which is, it's very hard to get a deal done that looks like that. Yeah. But of course, they're going to be in the catbird seat, as my dad liked to say. They're the ones that are going to be sitting there with all the information, knowing what the best things are, and have the jump on everybody else. But the short answer is I don't know, but my sights are much bigger than that.
Yeah. Super. When do you think will be the next results of the current drilling program will be published, and what might be, let's say, the news flow line for the next 3-4 months?
Well, we touched on that a little bit earlier. The results for this drill program will be about 5-6 weeks from now. Again, I want to have a Christmas present for everybody, a Christmas Hanukkah present for all of our shareholders. And then it'll be the joint venture agreement, the Jutel digitization work, and then the starting of the drill program in January of next year. But between in the next few weeks, we'll be talking and making the market aware of our drill program for this fall. The Northeast IP target, we just put out a press release recently. We'll put out another few on the other targets we're going after so people understand what we're doing. So there'll be news flow on almost a weekly basis between now and the end of the year, and then starting January going forward. So we're not putting our tools down. We're hard at work on the communication side to tell the story properly. I believe Sean Boyd's giving an interview about us on another channel in the United States, maybe tomorrow afternoon. So that'll be out there. There are a lot of things happening across the board. So a lot of news coming out.
Super. Then there's a question also again from another shareholder in St. Gallen here. So is it correct that we do not see any dilution for the foreseeable future? And I think that's really correct, right?
We have no reason to raise money. We have $30 million. And for a junior mining company, many junior mining companies are worth less than that on market cap. So if you take back, let's look at our market cap today. I think it's $125 million. If you take off the cash, and it was going up this morning, but it gets us to about $80 million, and that's the value. See, what I think is happening now is people are realizing that if you remove the cash, $80 million is the value of a 50-50 partnership with Agnico Eagle. That is really, really undervalued. I mean, think about that for a second. I think I invite everyone in the audience to do some on the back of a napkin. Think about what a 50-50 partnership is with 2 projects and 3 million ounces that already exist in our project. The gap between the $20 billion supergiant at Agnico and us removing our cash at $80 million market cap, people start to scratch their heads. All the Agnico Eagle shareholders say, well, hold on a second. I'm much more leverage owning Maple Gold on this deal with the tremendous upside. I think we should be multiples of this, and I think we'll get there just in this re-rating that's happening between now and the end of the year, say. And after the election is not going to affect the gold price. The gold price is going to be moved up because of stimulus globally. So the gold price will move up. People who own other shares in other companies who have been over-promoted, that don't have the value set that I think Maple Gold does, will start to drift into our story too, because they'll say, well, hold on a second. The other ones are a little bit riskier. They don't have the cash. They don't have the partnership. They have to raise money. They have to get further dilution, et cetera, et cetera. And names like ours, like there are other companies that are also very strong, names like ours that have cash, have strategics, have ounces, all the rest, those are the ones that will benefit no matter what the market does. And we're seeing that now with what's going on. On down days, we're trading flat or up. So.
Okay. Short answer to that question. How do you rate your position among your peers, competitors, on a range between 1 to 10, being 1 the lowest? I would say 11.
At least 11.
Okay, perfect. Love it. Oh, super. Then we have another question from a shareholder from Austria, from the beautiful Salzburg. And he's asking, what are your drill costs per meter in Canadian dollars? Approximately.
Per meter. All in about 180, something like that.
180 Canadian?
Canadian. It's the North American peso.
Super.
It's not the old Deutschmark. You know, my Mutti is Deutsch, so I like to think about things in all different types of currencies.
I love it. Fantastic. That's great. Super. And there is another question from an investor from Germany. How many % of the company you are owning personally?
That's a couple percent.
Couple percent. Okay, yeah. Super. Yeah, then let me check on my list here. Yeah, financings are gone. That is gone. Ta-dum, ta-dum. Oh, that looks fantastic. So could we say that probably Jutel and Due together would be the next super pit in Canada?
Together, they would be the largest project in the world. actually. So
Yeah,
if
fantastic.
we can do that, then I can relax.
Absolutely.
Then I've delivered something big.
That's right. And I can relax
Yeah.
too, as I'm a shareholder of the company.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe one last question I just saw on my list here. For
Sure.
the drill program 2021, would you say that the Wetzlar, the Wetzlar property is like a priority target, or what would you say would be the real priority?
The which? The what? I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question.
I said, what would be your priority drill targets for 2021?
Well, they're not all developed for 2021,
Mm-hmm.
but I can tell you the type of projects or the type of targets. We're going to be looking at expanding the resource with higher than average grade, linking some of the higher grade zones and discovery areas within the Douay project area to form what would be ultimately a starter pit or starter area.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, as we've talked about in the past, going after high value new discoveries outside the resource area. And if we're, I think we're going to have some success there this fall with some initial hits on the Northeast IP and the South IP targets, which you'll hear about soon in the news. We'll follow up on those because I think we're going to have some success there. I firmly believe that. And so we'll attack those outside the resource area. So it'll be two things. Now that we have the capital to give us the ability to go forward 4 years plus without thinking about it, we can do both things logically, thoughtfully, and with purpose. Build the resource to get to, I think the magic number for us is 5 million ounces. And keep in mind with the gold price at $2,000, think about the leverage of the gold price in a resource estimate. We got to 2.77 or so at $1,500 gold as the input. Mm-hmm. If you use $2,000 gold, it changes. If you just change that one input. So we're massively leveraged to new exploration discovery and gold price. Mm-hmm. I believe at $2,000 gold, our 2.77 ounces increases to 4 million ounces. Mm-hmm. The cutoffs go down, but just with the magic of higher gold prices, our numbers on our ounces change. So that's one thing that we'll continue to work at to build and grow the resource. And we try to use very conservative inputs. We don't want to use crazy inputs because then the whole model falls apart. Across the boards, we want to make sure the pit slopes are conservative and it's realistic. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Everything has to be realistic, and also the gold price. So that's on the resource side, and on the new discovery area, we're looking at how we find additional areas because we have a massive land package. One of the things that's also exciting for Agnico at our project is the discovery potential outside. Because I said there's 96% of our project area that is ripe for new and massive and incredible discovery. So I invite everyone to reach out. Email me if you want to directly. I have my email address is on our website anytime, day or night, or contact Johan for further information. But I'm around.
Super. Matthew, thank you very much. That's the end of our virtual roadshow. Fantastic. Well done. And you answered all questions. I have nothing left here. Also nothing left in my online list here. That is all fine. Yes,
anybody from Spain or Portugal on the line?
Yes, we have I know at least one guy who is from Spain online. But he's also German, but he lives in Spain. Okay. Yes, super. Right. Okay. Yeah, okay. Matthew, thank you very much. All the best. And we look forward to your news flow, of course, which we will publish. And I have a good feeling that we meet us here on that occasion very soon. And I really hope that we can meet us personally then latest by next summer. I really hope that.
I can't wait. Super. Wait for more beer and sauerkraut with you.
Exactly. That's a good Wiener Schnitzel. I remember. Super. Matthew, thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was our virtual roadshow with Maple Gold Mines, and Matthew Hornor, the CEO, just did a great job in presenting the company here. And yeah, you heard it. What can I say about it? I think this is a stock with a potential at least of $1.50 plus. This is my conservative estimate. Today we are around 42, 43 cents. And a lot of people wrote me and said, maybe might be a consolidation in the share price and it maybe pulls a little bit back. But after I watched watched the trading after the Agnico deal, I must say I do not see really a big pull back unless gold would fall another $50 to $80 back down to 1800 maybe. But to be honest, this share is now in a flow, and with Agnico Eagle backing the whole exploration, backing the whole funding of the cash, and you heard it, they do not need to dilute the company any further. This is exactly what you need with an exploration, and let's hope and pray for the next super gigantic mine with Jutel and Due. We keep you posted. Thank you very much, and especially in those shaky times, I wish you all the best. Stay healthy. Never forget, gin tonic and red wine is very good against corona, and it always helps, and also it calms also the nerves down in those markets, and I do that, and I'm very healthy, I can tell you. So all the best from Switzerland. Thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful evening. Bye-bye, and a great day to Vancouver. Thank you very much, Matthew, and talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all.
Thank you.